All right, welcome back, Math 6. This is Chapter 3, Section 9, entitled Dividing by Decimals. All right, for dividing by decimals, you should always still estimate. All right, this estimation tells you a number of things, but mainly it tells you of your reasonability. It gives you an idea of whether what you came up with makes sense. All right, so estimate. We're going to estimate that this is 60, and there's a few things we could divide by. You can divide by 3, or you could divide by 4. Either way, 60 divided by 3 or 4 will work out. If you know exactly off the top of your head what 60 divided by 3 was, that's a good estimation. If you know what 60 divided by 4 is, that's a good estimation. I'm going to divide by 4, because I know 60 divided by 4 is 15. If you divided by 3, you would get 20. So your answer should be somewhere around this range, 20, 15 time frame. All right. Now, what you're going to do here, this is the key. Multiply by blank to make a whole number. So when you're dividing by a decimal, if you have, I'm just going to use some variables here, x divided by y, this number right here has to be a whole number. So if you're dividing, so if y is 2.3, you have to make it a whole number. And you can do that in two ways. Method 1, just move both decimals the same amount. All right. Method 2, you can multiply both decimals by, I'm going to say, a power of 10. That means times by 10, by 100, by 1,000. Anything to make it bigger. So 2.3, you can move it just one place to the right. Or you can multiply by 10. So let's look at this example. It says to multiply by blank to make a whole number. I'm going to say multiply by 10. All right, multiplying by 10 moves the decimals one place. So then this, multiply by the same number. So multiply by 10. It moves the decimal by the same place. All right, so place the decimal point. Once you've set up the problem, all right, and let me do a couple more here. Let's say I have 10, no, not 10, 24 divided by 0.3. Well, there's a decimal point right here. And you'd say, I need to make this a whole number. So I move the decimal once. Move this decimal once. That means 240 divided by 3. If I had 3.45 divided by 2.1, well, whole number, make this a whole number, move it one place, move this one place. That becomes 34.5 divided by 21. I can look at the number divided by 0.345. Well, how many places do we have to move this decimal to make it a whole number? 1, 2, 3. So we move this 1, 2, 3. You end up with 2,830 divided by 345. You move the decimal the same number of places. If you don't like thinking of it that way, all you got to think about here is multiply this by 10, multiply this by 10. Multiply this by 10, multiply this by 10. Multiply this by 1,000 to move it 3 places, multiply this by 1,000. That's how this works. So that's why we ended up with 36,594. Now we divide as you would with a whole number. Place the decimal point up here. How many times does 36 go into 59? Once. And we line it up. Make sure you line all of this up. 36 into 59, you do it above the 9. That means we've got 36 here, which gives us 9 minus 6 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. This 4 gets dropped down. And now 36 goes into 234. Well, let's think about this. This one takes a little bit extra time. It doesn't go into 23, which is good. Let's see, though. Maybe 7. Let's go with 6. Let's see if 6 works. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 3 is 21. And now when I do the subtraction, comes the 2, to 8, and an 18. So remember, don't worry about this 0 right away. 18. Well, now we have to annex a 0 to continue doing the dividing. You may have to annex 5 or 6 zeros until you get a good number. Here, we're annexing 1. We drop down that 0 and 180. 36 into 180, probably 4 times. Oh, no, 5 times. All right. Let's see how that works. 5 times 6 is 0, or 30. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15, plus that 3 gives me 18, and I have a 0. When you have a 0, you know you are done. So 59.4 divided by 3.6 is 16.5. Now, our estimation was somewhere around here. Is that pretty close? I would say absolutely. If you wanted to check, go ahead and do the multiplying to see. 16.5 times 3.6 is 59.4. All right, please remember, you can check the solution to a division problem by multiplying the quotients by the divisor. So you can check right here. If you want to make sure you get the right answer every single time, you need to check those answers. All right, let's check your progress. First, let's estimate. Let's say you're taking 70 dividing by 5. I did 70 divided by 5 because I knew that would be a lot easier than something else. So 70 divided by 5. should be 14. Should be 14. So my answer should be somewhere around 14. Now, let's look at these numbers. 729, 729 divided by 5.4. We need to look at this number and say, how many decimals do I need to move it? I need to move it one place. So I move this one place. And now your division problem is 729 divided by 54. There are no decimals that you have to deal with. Set it up. 729 goes inside. 54 goes outside. 54 goes into 72. Oh, I'm sorry. Then always, here's your decimal. Line your decimals up. So 54 goes into 72 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. Now let's do some subtraction. 12 minus 4 is 8. 18. Drop down the 9. I'm going to say 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15, and one more is 16. 9 minus 2, 8 minus 6. All right, we're not done yet, so we need to annex a 0. Drop down to 0. Going to say 5, because I know 5 times 5 is 25, so I'm going to guess that 5 is the right one. And then we multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2. You get a 0, so we are done. So the answer to this problem that we got is 13.5. How does that compare to 14? Very, very close, so we should be very happy with our estimation. All right, so zeros in the quotient and dividend. All right, so now when looking here, you should see that you can multiply each side by, I think it's going to be 1,000. All right, but I prefer, and I think it's better for you, just look and say, how many times does this the thing you're dividing by, have to move? It moves 3 places. So this should move 3 places. So my new answer, my new dividend, or my new quotient problem, should be 8100 divided by 54. So I can set up the division, 8100 divided by 54. Line up the decimal. 54 goes into 81 once. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. 11, that's 7. 27. Well, I'm going to guess 5 because 5 times 5 is, all right. So 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 25 plus 2 is 27. 0. 0. All right. Now, looking at this, how many times does 54 go into 0? Well, it can't. It goes in there 0 times. Oh, sorry, this should come down to here. 0 times. And so 0 times 54 is 0, and we get 0 again. So this could go on forever if you wanted. Drop down another 0 and another 0 there. But your answer should just be 150. Let's do another example. This time, look at this. What you're dividing by should go move the decimal one place. One place. So, 0.52 divided by 13. So set up the division problem. 13 goes into 0.52. Now here it's telling you to multiply each decimal by 10. So 13 goes into 5, 0 times. Line up the decimals, a 0 goes there. 13 goes into 52. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 plus 1 is 2, 0. You get that 0, you're done. The answer to this, 0.04. All right, here's some more dividing, checking your progress. So, what you divide by, you have to move the decimal. Move it 1, 2 times. So you move this 1, 2 times. So when I moved that 2 times, you ended up with 8190 and 63. So we do the division. 63 goes into 81 one time. 1 times 3 is 3, 6. Drop down to 9. 63 goes into 189. I'm going to guess 3 times, and we're going to see what happens. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 6 is 18. I got lucky. It's 0. Drop down the other 0. How many times would 63 go into 0? Well, 0 times. And we could keep going on with this 0 forever. But we lined it up with a decimal, and you're done. Same thing here. You can go ahead and pause the video if you want, but decide how many places you move this decimal. Well, now when you look, you should move this decimal once and this decimal once, and you end up with 0.72 divided by 12. So when you set up the division, 12, oh, I'm sorry. The 0.72 goes inside and 12 goes outside. You line up the decimals. You say 12 cannot go into 7, but 12 can go into 72 8 times. Now be very, very careful here. 12 to 7, it does not go in there at all. It goes in there 0 times. So 12 goes into 72 8 times. No, 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1 times 1 plus 1. 72, 0. 0.06 is your solution. All right. Remember, when you are rounding the nearest tenth, you can stop dividing when there is a digit in the hundredths place. What that means is if we were rounding to the 10th spot, you can be done when the 6th is shown. So here, round to the nearest tenth, multiply the divisor and the dividend by, you're going to say 100 this time. But really what you're doing is moving the decimal 2 places. So you end up with 78685 divided by 4288. And when you set that up, 78685 4288. Well, 4288 definitely doesn't go into 7 or 78 or 786, but it does go in. It does go into 7,868 once. Subtract. Drop down. Goes into that. Oh man. 4 into 35. 8 times. Lining up our decimals. 8 times. Let's see if I did it right. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 times 8 is 64. Plus 6 is 70. Eight times 2 is 16. Plus 7. 8 times 4 is 32. Plus 2. Subtract now. 1,500, 0. Annex a 0. 15, maybe 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 2, 26. 6. Borrow from that. That's a 9. That's an 11. That's a 9. 9 minus 4. Oh no, not 9. 10 minus 4. Hold on a second. Got a little ahead of myself. 0 minus 4 you can't do. 1 minus 6 you can't do. 0 minus 8 you can't do. We are going to borrow from the 5 and make that a 4. This becomes a 10, but we're borrowing 1 from there, so it's really a 9. This becomes an 11, but we're borrowing from it, so it becomes a 10, and that just becomes a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 8 is 1. 2,146. All right, so one more time through. Drop down another 0. 21. Probably 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 40 and 5 times 8 is 40 plus 4 is 44. That's 10 and 4 is 14. 1 is 21. You end up with 200. Now, what this says here is you can stop dividing when there's a digit in the nearest hundredth place. So this is the hundredth place. Now we have to take a look at 18.35. We say we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So we look at this and we say 5 into the sky, which means the 3 goes up. Your answer should be 18.4. All right, this is the last part here. He bought some stock for this much per share. He spent this much money. How much did he buy? How many shares did he buy? So you're going to take 771.28 divided by 23.35. And we're just going to go ahead and move the decimal 2 places. Move the decimal to the 2 places. And now do our division. All right, goes into 7,000. Let's see, maybe 3 times. Let's see if I might not be right on this one. 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 9 and 1, that's 10. Carry the 1. That's 9 and that's 10. Carry the 1. That's 6. That's 7. So when I subtract 2 minus 5, you can't do it. 1 minus 5, you can. So that becomes 0. That's a 12. 707. 707. All right. Drop down the 8. And if you look, it's going to be another 3. Here are our decimals lined up. 3 times all that is once again 7005. So that becomes a 73. 73. Oh, that 2335 can't go into 730. So goes in there 0 times. Well, that's 0, 0, 0. That's 730 again. Drop down to 0. Now it should be, once again, 0.3. So once I have this number, just for practice, it's 15, carry the 1, 10, carry the 1, 10, carry the 1, 6, 7. So once we are rounding to the 10th place, we have a number 33.03. This is the 10th place. Here's where you look at to the right. It's 4 into the floor, so 33.0 is your solution. All right, sorry this video is a lot longer. Please write this down into your notes as your assignment. Remember, it's not homework. This is actually the classwork that you'll be working on in class. You need to, for 50% of your homework grade, do the check your understandings. Good luck. Good luck.